History is a lie. How is King James of the Stuart line described? But before we read of the man himself, let's see how his mother, Mary Stuart, was described. From The Life of Mary Stuart, Queen of Scotland. Published in 1886, Mary was now entitled Queen Dauphiness, and her consort, King of Scotland. The portrait which the bride bestowed on one of the commissioners as a parting token of her favor represents her with hair of a rich chestnut brown, almost black. Her complexion is that of a delicate brunette, clear and brilliant. Certainly everyone knows what complexion means. Let's quickly see what brunette meant. From the American Dictionary of the English Language by Noah Webster. Brunette. From brune. Brown. Brunette. A woman with a brown or dark complexion. She's described as being of a delicate brunette. This means she was on the lighter end of the melanated spectrum. Towards the end of the video, we will show an original engraving of King James and his wife, Anne of Denmark. For now, bear with us as we show these Wikipedia images. This is supposed to be a contemporary portrait of Mary Stuart. Does this woman have a brown complexion with rich chestnut brown, almost black hair? Even a 5-year-old can tell this alleged portrait doesn't match the description. Now let's read how her son, King James, was described. From King James VI and First by David Harris Wilson, page 168, quote, "His stature was of a middle size," wrote Arthur Wilson, an historian of the reign. "Rather tall than low, well set and somewhat plump, of a ruddy complexion. His hair of a light brown in his full perfection had at last a tincture of white." Arthur describes King James' complexion as ruddy. When searching the word ruddy on the internet, we are shown animals with a reddish-brown fur, like this lovely pup or this duck. Will the dictionary agree with this definition? Ruddy, of a red color, of a lively flesh color, or the color of the human skin in high health. The word ruddy in literature is not to be confused with pale-skinned people with rosacea issues, because that is not the complexion or natural constitution of the skin. This is an original engraving of King James and his wife Anne of Denmark. This engraving was brought to light by Dr. David Murphy, and this is the copy of the engraving. I must say, they did a very good job. The two are almost identical. Are you starting to understand what has happened due to white supremacism? Do not misunderstand us. When we say white supremacism, we are not talking about some hillbillies in the countryside. We are talking about the political movements born in the late 1800s, whose members were shooting at brown and dark people to not allow them to exercise their sovereign right as citizens, which culminated in the 1924 Racial Identity Act, making white a race, no longer a social status. Sorry for the tangent. Back to King James. Let's look at another example. This is one of the most famous portraits we are shown in modern books and Wikipedia of King James. But what actually inspired this portrait? This image is a photo of a portrait of King James under a plastic cover. This goes to show that the original portraits and paintings, after being copied, were still kept somewhere. Other portraits were simply painted over, like this painting of Elizabeth I. This portrait of King James was made circa 1911 by an unknown artist. But if Wikipedia said it's a contemporary portrait of King James made in the 17th century by a famous Dutch painter, wouldn't everyone believe it's true? Like and share for more lost history. And that's why we say,